One of the things I love to do on Sundays is interact with my school community. That allows me to get to meet more people and see what's going on, but it also allows me to introduce new faces and new voices to my YouTube channel. We have the one and only Kimberly here who has a 12-unit property that she's looking to get seller financing. And we're going to try to just brainstorm how to do it together. Kimberly, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing very well. Do me a favor, introduce the audience to who is Kimberly as far as the real estate world goes, when you got started, what are you doing now? Then we'll get into this 12-unit building.
Yeah, so my husband and I got started in multifamily in 2021. Prior to that, had a single family, and my husband also owns his own building for his job. And we had always wanted to get into it a little bit more, and COVID kind of gave us a little bit more time to delve into that. So we now have an experience with small multifamilies as well as small apartments and then one short-term rental. And I love the 5 to kind of 20 unit, and really looking, there's a fair amount of those in my market, and really looking to kind of grow our portfolio. Currently our 2 small apartment complexes are in Texas, and they're doing okay. And it's been more, the return on effort has not been worth it versus our local properties. So looking to 1031 exchange and bring that capital back.
Got it. Got it. So we'll just say we're in Oregon for this discussion. This deal you're looking at, Oregon. So why don't you kind of lay out what you see today, and we'll start breaking down how I might go after something like that.
Okay, as far as like the property itself.
Yeah.
So 12 units, they're all 2 bedroom, 1.5 bath. They're townhouse style. It's a 1968 build, and it's actually 4 buildings on one tax lot. So there's a quadplex, 2 threeplexes, and whatever it adds up to, right? And
Got it. Okay.
they all have 1 car attached garages.
Oh,
and washer dryer units in the or hookups in the garages.
Okay.
And pitched roofs of varying ages, and in a really, really good neighborhood. So the neighborhood is mostly 1970s vintage kind of set single family homes, a lot of which have really been renovated nicely, kind of that cool mid-century vibe, nice tree-lined streets. There's maybe a few duplexes here and there, but this is really kind of the only sort of smaller apartment complex. It's really close to a lot of jobs and amenities and good school districts. So I think it really would appeal to the demographic who would really want to live in a neighborhood like that, but can't afford to purchase a $500,000 to $700,000 house.
I like it. So this property, is it listed? Is it off market?
Nope, completely off market. My the broker that we've been working with for a number of years, who's helped us get into our local properties, he found this one out by inquiring on another 4-plex for me. And the seller is her mom's place, but she's a realtor. And then she's like, oh, but I have some of these other places that I might be selling, and one of them is a 12-unit. So completely off market.
Okay, completely off market, but seller sounds like will at least entertain selling it.
So yeah. So she actually would like to sell it, but doesn't want to have to put it on the market for having to do the work for it.
Yep.
She has said that she won't sell her carry, but she's willing to sell her carry on a couple of her other 4-plexes. But she wants full price for them, but also if she's the seller carry, she mentioned she would do an 8%, interest rate with like a 25% down payment. So it doesn't really, I don't think she really grasps the concept of negotiating on terms if you want your price.
Yeah, you can't have both. It's nice.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she does, her prop stream does own the 12-unit outright. And yeah. So I'm hoping that maybe there might be some opportunity.
Yeah. So let's kind of fence post this a little bit. What does she think it's worth, right? What is her crazy number?
2.7 million.
2.7. Okay. And you have undoubtedly done the work, and you think it's worth, if you had to go get a loan and you had to just buy it the traditional way, what do you think it's worth? What's your number to get the other side?
My number would be like 2.025.
All right, I'll just call it 2 million for fun. Okay. All right, so we have about 700K delta between you and her to
Mm-hmm.
kind of start the party out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess the first, so again, and we're gonna say again, according to PropStream, she owns it free and clear, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing I would try to do is I would probably work out two different offers. There's the traditional one, which it sounds like you're already working on. Hey, we're going to have her seller carry the first
Yeah.
at some number and at some interest rate. And what I would do in that conversation, so let's just do that one first.
Okay.
I
I'm
would
gonna,
probably
yeah.
show her three different offers where the price and the interest rate changes, right? Higher price, lower interest rate. Because again, what I would be trying to tell her, and I would probably do this before I handed her the three offers, is I'm a cash flow investor, just like you. I need these things to cash flow day one. I plan to hold these forever. So I have three different offers that I'm okay with any of them. And assuming I could get the numbers to work, one of those offers might be at 2.7. Right? If you could do the math
Mm-hmm.
backwards, and again,
Mm-hmm.
you might have to ask for a 2% interest rate, but that
Mm-hmm.
would probably definitely be one of my offers. Then I would probably do an offer at like 2.4,
Mm-hmm.
slightly higher interest rate. And then I'd probably do one at 2 million with her 8% or whatever the highest you could go.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably bookmark it 2.7 for her at some stupid low interest rate and 2 million at a market interest rate. And then I'd probably put something in the middle. So that's the first thing I would do is I would do that math. Does that make sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that assumes that she carries the whole thing. And then because I know I have this fancy Stephen Dow Velocity Mortgage 90% CLTV loan,
Mm-hmm.
I would do the same thing, but assumes she gets 60% of the cash and she only carries 40%. Have you heard me and Stephen talk about the
I
50, 40,
sure
10?
have. Yep.
I
I
would
sure
do
have.
the exact same thing where, again, in the three offers, she gets 60% of the cash at closing, and then she carries back 40% again at some low interest rate, allowing you to get a below market blended interest rate. Those are just off the top of my head. I'd be writing 6 offers, 2 of them giving her number, 2 of them giving them your number, meaning price, and then something in
Mm-hmm.
the middle.
Okay.
And the whole conversation needs to be, I'm a cash flow investor. I want to hold for the long term, you know. And again, another thing I would tell you is I would use actual rents, not, oh, they're 200 below market. I'd say, no, dear, you know that I only can pay the mortgage with the actual rents.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when I do the whole mortgage calculation and then 40 or 45% of expenses, I would use actual rents, not this, hey, you can raise rents on everybody and everything's good. I'd use actual
Right.
rents.
Right.
Does
Okay.
all that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What questions do you have?
Um, some of these questions, I know you talk about getting face to face with the seller for these.
Mhm.
I have, our real estate agent in the middle,
That's okay.
and he is pretty much willing to kind of do what I mean. He definitely has his ideas of what would work, but he's willing to do whatever.
Yeah.
And so, how would you approach, I guess, the opening the discussions with the seller via?
And just to make sure I remember the seller is the daughter of the owner, or is
No,
that
the
how it's
seller. She was the daughter of the owner of another fourplex that we were looking at. So
got it?
she owns this,
Okay. So you're
and
so
she
on that side is the seller.
is the seller, and she is an agent herself.
Okay. So what I would do is I would have the agent say, hey, I have a very experienced real estate investor. She's come up with 6 different ways to buy your property. Some with seller financing, first, seconds. We need to have a sit down conversation. Could we come to your office or go to Starbucks or something where you could meet her and she could represent all 6 offers. Because if we send them to you, they're going to be confusing. There's too much. We think this is best to do face to face. That's what I would
Okay.
probably ask him or her to do.
I like that. Yeah. Okay. I guess what questions should I be asking?
So I
I've
think
never done any kind of seller finance offers before. So
yeah, so I think what you need to realize is, and one of the reasons why face to face is what I recommend getting to, is they're going to have to trust you.
yeah.
They're either going to carry a big note with you or a smaller note with you, and they need to have dependency. Um, so I think I would make sure to understand the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to sell the property. We're going to go through escrow. There's going to be a trust deed. There's going to be a note attached to it. Heaven forbid I don't pay you. You can foreclose. Whatever you can do to make that less risky, like automatic payments or escrows or whatever. You have to de-risk the situation. I might, if you have it already, or if not, I would create maybe a 1-page, Kimberly and husband resume of your
Mm-hmm.
real estate experience. You're not some rookie, right? You've
Mm-hmm.
done transactions, you own some stuff. So I would document that for
Mm-hmm.
her or the seller. I would definitely do that. Um, I would tell her you're open to other ideas. Again, with the caveat, must cash flow, long-term holder. You don't really care about price and rate as long as the math works out where the payment cash flows. I think that's a important conversation. And I would probably have that conversation before I show her the offers. I wouldn't be like, wow, here's all the paperwork.
Right.
Figure it
Right.
out. I would say, hey, me and my husband are long-term investors. We like your asset. I would talk it up like you did with me, but make it very clear, if it doesn't cash flow, you can't buy it.
Have
I
you
mean,
ever heard
mhm,
of anybody, or you yourself
mhm.
offered potential second liens on other assets to make the seller feel more comfortable?
Um, I did that when we were in growth mode on one deal.
Mm-hmm.
It was a seller finance deal on a fourplex. There wasn't enough equity because we were having a bank come in. So I gave them second position on another asset. I did put a clock on that. It said, I
Mm-hmm.
think it said, if we had 2 years of no missed payments, this, goes to zero, or this lien goes away. Unless and it went away automatically unless you filed a claim, something like that. If you were going to do that, I would definitely put a clock on it, like 2 years of, no missed payments or something.
Okay. I have run a number of these numbers, so but I need to do the 3 for each scenario.
Yeah, and I think the key in the scenario is the two we already know, her price and your price.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to finagle the one in the middle. Um,
Yeah. The
yeah, it's
unknown for
just
me is I don't know what her motivation is. She owns
you're
it free and clear,
yeah,
right? So I don't think she's a distressed seller or anything. But
yeah.
she, for some reason, is wanting to offload a number of her properties. Um,
Yeah, the key is going to be, and these offers, you're going to figure it out. Does she
mhm,
want a bunch of money day one, or does she want, mailbox money?
mhm,
I think that's why the 6 offers are important, because, I if because I've done this exact thing dozens of times. In what you'll really learn is, does she want a pile of money or does she want cash flow or mailbox money? Until you have that sit down conversation, I don't even think she knows. So, yeah.
okay, awesome.
Sound good? All right.
Yeah, sounds great. Very
Well,
helpful.
well, do me a favor. Let me know how it goes.
Cool.
You know, realize this conversation can go lots of ways. She could look at all 6 offers and say you're crazy. It's okay. It's
Hmm.
a numbers game.
Hmm.
What will probably happen is she will, if at the end of the day you learn this one thing, I consider that meeting a success. Does she want a lot of money, meaning 50, 40, 10, meaning cash? or is she comfortable with a little bit of money and a note? I think if you walk away from that lunch or that face to face knowing those two things, that's a step forward.
Mhm.
Because at that point, then you're start negotiating around what's important to her, but you can still meet your needs. So I'm not, so don't go to that meeting hoping you have a signed contract with one of those 6 offers. That's
Right,
not what I'm saying.
right.
All you're trying to learn at that first step is which one is she more comfortable with? And then you focus on that next.
Opening the door.
Yeah. And figuring out, hey, do you want steak or chicken? Pasta or rice?
Yeah,
That's what I see this first meeting as.
yeah. Okay,
All right.
great. That's great advice. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Well, enjoy, have fun. It is a numbers game. If this one doesn't work out, the practice will make you better next time.
Yeah,
Uh, it's just Monopoly. That's all we're doing. We're just playing Monopoly, Kimberly.
for sure. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Bye.
All right, bye.